The wind howled through the quiet suburbs, carrying with it the biting chill of a late winter storm. Snowflakes danced wildly in the air, blanketing rooftops, yards, and sidewalks in a thick coat of white. Inside a small house nestled at the edge of the woods, 8-year-old Lily sat by the window, her nose pressed against the glass, eyes wide with worry. The storm had rolled in faster than expected. Her mother, Rebecca, a gentle, thoughtful woman who taught children from home, had lit the fireplace and made warm cocoa, hoping to distract Lily from the growing winds outside. But something felt off, the kind of feeling you get in your chest before something happens, a heaviness without explanation. Then Lily saw it, a small shape moving through the snow. It staggered, then paused. She squinted. It was a puppy, alone, soaked, trembling. Its fur was clumped with ice, and its little legs barely carried it forward. The way it moved, lost, desperate, struck Lily like a lightning bolt. "Mom!" Lily cried, leaping from her seat. "There's a puppy out there!" Rebecca rushed to the window. "Sweetheart, it's freezing. It could be dangerous." But Lily was already pulling on her boots. "We can't leave him. He's scared." Before Rebecca could protest, the door swung open, and Lily stepped into the swirling snow. The wind slapped her cheeks, and the cold stung instantly, but she pressed forward. The puppy looked up, eyes wide with fear but also hope. He took one hesitant step toward her. Lily knelt in the snow, arms open. "It's okay," she whispered. "I'm here now." And in that moment, two broken souls found each other. Lily cradled the puppy in her arms, his tiny body shivering against hers. Snow clung to his fur in patches, and his nose was cold and dry. She whispered softly to him as she crossed the yard, "You're safe now. I've got you." Rebecca stood at the doorway, a blanket in hand and worry in her eyes. She wrapped the puppy gently as Lily carried him inside. The warmth of the house hit like a wave, but the little dog didn't relax, even as Rebecca dried him off and set him near the fireplace. His eyes darted back and forth, his breathing shallow. "He's not just cold," Lily said, watching him carefully. "Something's wrong." Rebecca crouched beside her. "Maybe he's lost or scared." But Lily shook her head. "No, he's trying to tell us something." The puppy let out a low whimper, not of pain but of urgency. He stood unsteady and limped toward the door, then looked back at them. His eyes, round and dark, held something Lily couldn't ignore: desperation and pleading. "He wants us to follow," Lily whispered. Rebecca hesitated, glancing at the heavy snow still falling outside. "Lily, it's getting late. There's a storm." "But the puppy whimpered again, pawing lightly at the door. Lily's voice was soft yet sure. "I don't think he came here by accident. He needs us to help someone else." The puppy's gaze met Lily's again, and it was as if their hearts spoke the same language. "No words, just trust." Rebecca let out a slow breath. "Okay, we'll go, but we're doing this together." With a flashlight, thick coats, and a blanket packed tight, the three of them, one girl, her mother, and a trembling puppy, stepped back into the storm, not knowing what waited ahead, only knowing they had to go. The wind struck their faces the moment they stepped outside, sharp and relentless. Rebecca pulled Lily's hood tighter and adjusted the scarf around her neck, but Lily's eyes were fixed ahead on the small figure trudging determinedly through the snow. The puppy, whom Lily had already decided to name Rusty, moved with surprising purpose. His legs shook with every step, but he didn't stop. He would walk a few feet, then glance back to make sure Lily and her mother were still there, his tail barely twitching in the cold. Lily held tightly to her mother's hand, her boots crunching in the deepening snow. The flashlight beam cut a narrow path through the dark, flickering against tree trunks and glistening branches. Everything felt still except the sound of their footsteps and the ever-present whimper of the wind. Where do you think he's going? Rebecca asked softly. Lily didn't answer right away. She was watching Rusty. The way he kept looking back, urging them forward. He's not lost, Lily finally said. He remembers. Rebecca didn't question it. There was something in her daughter's voice, not childish fantasy, but something deeper, instinct, compassion, an understanding she herself was only just beginning to feel. They passed the last row of houses and entered the woods. Behind their neighborhood, the snow there was untouched, pure and undisturbed, and Rusty's little paws left the only trail. Behind them he stopped occasionally to sniff the air, then pushed forward again, as if time were running out. Lily bent down beside him once, whispering, "We're still with you, Rusty. Lead the way." And so they did, through the darkness and snow. One small dog with a mission and two hearts brave enough to follow him into the unknown. The trees grew thicker as they moved deeper into the woods. Their branches, heavy with snow, formed a kind of quiet tunnel above them. The flashlight flickered, catching glimpses of shadows, but Lily's grip never loosened. Rusty was moving faster now, not running, but more urgent, more insistent. Then, without warning, he stopped. He stood perfectly still, ears twitching, breath coming in shallow puffs. He turned to look at Lily, then stepped to the side and nudged a snow-covered patch beneath an old pine tree. Lily moved closer, heart pounding. Rebecca held the flashlight steady. That's when they saw her. A larger German shepherd lay curled in the snow, barely visible beneath a thick white layer that had settled on her. Her breathing was faint, almost invisible, and her eyes were closed. Her body was still, except for a trembling paw, swollen and stray with dried blood. Rusty wed softly and crept beside her, nudging her gently with his nose. The older dog stirred just enough to open her eyes, dull and tired, but alive. "Oh my goodness," Rebecca breathed. "She's still breathing." Lily sank to her knees beside the dog, brushing snow from her fur with shaking hands. "This is his mom," she said softly. "He brought us to her." The dog blinked slowly, eyes meeting Lily's with a quiet pain, but also a flicker of hope. "It's okay," Lily whispered, voice trembling. "We found you. You're going to be okay." Rusty nestled beside his mother, resting his tiny head against her neck. Rebecca knelt beside them, placing a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. In the stillness of the snowy woods, time seemed to stop. It wasn't just a rescue, it was a reunion, and a promise that they would not be alone anymore. Rebecca reached for her phone with numb fingers, desperately trying to call the nearest animal clinic, but the storm had worsened and the signal was patchy. Static filled the speaker, followed by a few broken words before the call dropped entirely. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. No signal. Lily didn't wait. She was already unfolding the blanket from her backpack and gently placing it over the injured dog. "We can't leave her here," she said firmly. Rebecca hesitated for just a second, then nodded. "Okay, let's get her home. We'll figure it out from there." It wasn't easy. The mother dog, now softly named Willow by Lily, was heavier than she looked. Rebecca wrapped her securely in the blanket and lifted her into her arms, gritting her teeth against the cold. Her legs strained and the wind stung her face, but she kept moving. Lily walked ahead with Rusty, who wouldn't stray from Willow's side. Every few steps he looked back, eyes full of worry. Lily kept whispering softly to both of them, "We're almost there, just a little more." The journey back felt longer. Colder snow pelted them sideways, and their footprints were quickly erased by the storm behind them. When they finally reached the edge of their neighborhood, Rebecca's arms were trembling, but she didn't stop. They reached their front porch just as the wind howled its loudest. Inside, they laid Willow by the fireplace. Lily brought a towel to dry her fur while Rusty curled beside her, pressing his body close, sharing his warmth. Rebecca tried the phone again. This time it rang as they waited for help. Lily held Rusty close, whispering, "You did it, you found her, you saved her." And though he didn't understand the words, Rusty closed his eyes and rested, as if finally for the first time he knew they were safe. The house was quiet, except for the steady ticking of the clock and the occasional crackle from the fireplace outside. The storm raged on, wind lashing against the windows, snow piling higher on the porch. Inside, warmth wrapped around them like a blanket, but the weight of worry hung heavy in the air. Willow lay still, her breathing shallow but steady. Rebecca had done all she could, wrapped her in blankets, applied gentle pressure to her injured paw, and made a soft bed near the fire. The emergency vet was on their way, but the road conditions meant it could take hours. Lily refused to leave her side. She sat cross-legged beside Willow, one hand resting gently on the dog's head, Rusty curled tightly in her lap, his eyes never leaving his mother. Every time Willow let out a soft sigh or shifted slightly, Rusty would lift his head in concern, and Lily would stroke him gently. "It's okay," she whispered again and again, not sure if she was talking to Rusty. Willow herself. Rebecca brought her a cup of warm milk, crouching beside her daughter. "You've been so brave tonight," she said softly. Lily looked up, eyes tired but focused. "She's going to be okay, right?" Rebecca smiled faintly. "She's a fighter. And she has you and Rusty. That's more than most." The minutes stretched into hours. Lily's head eventually leaned against the couch and her eyes began to close. Rusty nestled deeper into her lap, letting out a soft, content sigh. And for a brief moment, just a heartbeat, the storm outside faded into silence. Inside that small firelit room, a new kind of family had begun to form, one bound not by words but by warmth, courage, and the quiet strength of simply being there for each other. Morning arrived, slowly, with soft gray light seeping through the snow-covered windows. The storm had quieted, leaving behind a stillness so complete it felt like the world was holding its breath. The knock at the door was gentle but urgent. Rebecca opened it to find the emergency veterinarian, a kind-eyed woman named Dr. Patel, bundled in layers and holding a medical kit. She quickly examined Willow, her hands firm but gentle. "She's lucky," Dr. Patel said after a while. "The injury is bad, but she's strong. With care she'll recover." Lily exhaled deeply, like she had been holding that breath all night. For the next few days their lives shifted into a rhythm centered around healing. Rebecca adjusted her tutoring schedule. To stay home, she cleaned Willow's wound twice a day, gave her medication, and made sure she rested. Lily took charge of Rusty, feeding him, playing gently, and teaching him how to sit and stay with bits of apple slices. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes Willow would startle at loud noises. She would flinch when approached too quickly, but she never snapped, just watched with tired, weary eyes. And always Rusty was there, pressed close to her side, as if reminding her she wasn't alone. At night, Lily would curl up on the rug beside them, reading aloud from picture books, her voice soft and soothing. She'd stroke Rusty's ears and smile whenever he licked her hand in thanks. One evening, as Lily gently brushed Willow's fur, the older dog rested her head in Lily's lap. For the first time, Lily froze, heart swelling, then looked up at her mom. "She trusts me." Rebecca's voice was low and warm. "Yes, sweetheart, she knows you're her safe place now." And from that moment on, something between them all began to truly heal. It had been nearly a week since Willow and Rusty found shelter in Lily's home. The snow had started to melt, slowly dripping from tree branches like the soft release of tension inside the house. Things were warmer, calmer, until one night a distant rumble of thunder rolled in with an unexpected evening. Rain. It was soft at first, but Willow heard it before anyone else. Her ears perked up sharply and her body went stiff. Within seconds her breathing grew rapid. Eyes wide and darting. Lily was reading in her room when she heard Rusty bark, not playfully but sharp and anxious. She ran into the living room. Willow was curled in a tight ball, trembling uncontrollably. Rusty was standing guard beside her, barking in bursts, then nuzzling her, desperate to pull her back to the present. His small frame shook too, but he didn't leave her side. Lily dropped to her knees, reaching out slowly. Willow, it's okay, it's just thunder. The older dog whimpered and flinched at her touch. Rebecca appeared behind her, worry etched across her face. She's remembering something. Trauma doesn't always heal in a straight line. Lily nodded, tears prickling her eyes. She scooted closer, lying down beside Willow and whispering, "You're safe now, we're not going anywhere." Minutes passed. The thunder faded into the distance. Willow's breathing slowed, her eyes, still glossy, blinked and finally met Lily's slowly. She rested her head on Lily's arm. Rusty let out a quiet sigh and curled up at their feet. Rebecca knelt beside them, wrapping a blanket around all three. "This," she whispered, "is what healing looks like." In the hush after the storm, surrounded by flickering lamplight and quiet hearts, they didn't need words, just presence, just love. The days began to stretch longer, and the snow finally gave way to soft patches of earth and shy blades of grass. The storm that had once trapped them in fear became a fading memory, one that still lived in quiet moments but no longer ruled them. Willow could walk on her own now. Her limp was still there, a reminder of what she had endured, but her steps were steady. She followed Lily through the house and waited by the door every morning for their slow, peaceful walks. Rusty had grown bolder, bounding across the yard with his tail wagging like a little metronome of joy. Rebecca watched it all unfold, the way Lily's laughter had returned, the way her steps felt lighter. The quiet little girl who once stared out the window waiting for something to fill the silence now danced across the yard, hand in paw with Rusty and Willow never far behind. And one afternoon, as they sat on a bench at the edge of the park, Lily leaned her head on her mother's shoulder and said, "I don't think Rusty found us by accident." Rebecca smiled, "I don't think so either. Rusty chased a falling leaf, barking happily." Willow lay calmly at their feet, eyes closed, chest rising and falling with steady breaths. The world was quiet, safe. Lily looked up at her mom. "Can we keep them?" Rebecca didn't even pause. They're already hours from that moment forward. They weren't just guests or rescues, they were family. In the weeks that followed, Lily gave Rusty his own toy basket, and Willow had a bed near the window where she could watch the world without fear. They took walks, played in the park, and built new memories that had nothing to do with snow or silence, only warmth and love. Some stories begin in the cold, in the dark, with fear and doubt, but the most beautiful ones, they begin with a spark of kindness and grow into a lifetime of